Okay. So what this is we are about to start the gridding video. And Art 2, you're actually going to watch this video twice. The first time you're going to watch this, you are going to, I guess, decide if you want to use the grid method for your reference photo when doing your micography project. Now, when doing your micography project, you do not have to grid. Most of you guys learn it in Art 1. I know I teach it in Art 1. I know Coach Crouch teaches it in Art 1. So you can use what you know and, yeah, use the grid method. I'm just going to kind of create a rehash of that. Now, the second time you're going to watch this video is we're actually going to draw Chadwick Boseman together, and we're going to end up painting him. So the second time you watch this, you should have a picture of Chadwick in front of you, and you'll be following along the same steps with the same photo. But anyway, let's get to gridding. And what you're going to need is your reference photo and a ruler and a pencil. Now, I'm really going off the basis of we have the same dimensions of our photos, and we're going to kind of simplify it as much as possible. Meaning we're going to crop this image a very small amount, but we're going to crop it. So what I like to do first is I like to go in with my ruler, and again, making sure that I'm gridding the photo. And how you do that is you actually start at the photo. So many students like to start at the edge of the paper, but you're not gridding the paper, you're gridding the photo. So what I like to do is make sure that ruler lines up at the edge of that paper, and then I mark it. And I'm actually going to use a Sharpie so you guys can see that a little bit clearer. And since we're doing easy math here, we're just going to follow this ruler and mark every inch. So we're going to have 1-inch squares. And this top here, our top and bottom, are going to be, or is going to be, 8 inches. So we're just going to go to 8. And then, oh, wish this paper would stop moving. And then right here, you should be able to see that we're cropping it a tiny bit, almost a centimeter, or actually a centimeter. So nothing crazy. So again, started my ruler at the end of the photo or the beginning of the photo, marked every inch all the way to 8. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to do the exact same thing, but I'm just going to do it to the bottom. So again, lining up my ruler to the end of the photo, marking it, and then marking every inch all the way to 8. Now, our photo is not a perfect square, so our sides are going to be longer. So I'm going to go ahead and rotate that. And we're just going to go ahead and make them go to 10, or make our dimensions go to 10. And again, I'm going to slide my ruler to the end of my photo. I'm going to mark it, and then mark every inch. And again, we're going all the way to 10, just like that. Now this is the part where a lot of students mess up, because they'll go and rotate their paper and then they'll do the same thing. The only issue is we started at the edge of the paper over here, but typically my students would start at the edge of the photo, over here, so the marks wouldn't line up. So this mark has nothing to line up to. So what I'm trying to say is I'm going to go back to where I just was and how we just ended that row. I just want you to slide your paper down so you can move that ruler here. And we're going to do the same thing across. So again, lining up the ruler at the edge of the paper, marking it, and then again, marking every inch all the way to 10. Now, up top we did 8, on the sides we did 10, and that would make it an 8 by 10 grid. It's important to measure all 4 sides, just like we did. And that way, when we get to this part, let's see if I can zoom out anymore. Hopefully y'all can still hear me. Now, when we get to this portion, we can just line up the marks we've already made. So if you can't see that, my marks at the top should line up really well, or almost perfectly, with the ones at the bottom. So I'm going to do that real quick. I'm just going to line up my lines here, my marks, and draw my lines across. Now this photo, it's going to be hard to see my lines just because it's such a dark photo. But hopefully you'll be able to see it across his face and his hands. Now, when you guys are following along with this video the second time, definitely pause and work on this. Like, take your time, is what I'm trying to say. Because I know I'm trying to jump through these steps pretty quickly. Okay, that's going vertical. Now I'm going to do the same thing going horizontal. And while I'm doing this, I guess I'll talk about why this method is so great. And I'm going to be honest, this isn't a method that I normally practice at home, unless I'm working on a larger scale. And this method is used for transferring an image. And you can transfer this in any scale that you wanted to. So if we wanted a very large painting of Chadwick Boseman on the wall, on our next grid, whatever we're painting on, I guess the example is the wall, we would just have to do a little bit of math and upscale each of these squares that we're making. And really just go square by square and end up with a accurately proportioned Chadwick Boseman. Speaking of proportions, this method is great because this is kind of like a foolproof way of making sure that your image is transferred as accurately as possible, meaning that you'll get accurate facial proportions or body proportions or proportions of whatever you're drawing or painting. Oh, that line you can't see. Okay, so now I have Chadwick Boseman gridded, and the last step is just making sure that we label our grid. It's not going to do you much good if you have a grid and every time you're trying to use it, you're trying to count each box across and over and so forth. So what I like to do is I like to do the alphabet up top. So in this case, it's going to go from A like apple and H like hippopotamus. So A, B, C. So A to H, and then going down is going to be 1 to 10. And then you should be able to see how we have this left over. This is not a part of your grid, just because we're doing an 8 by 10 grid. This is kind of unnecessary. So I tell a lot of students, if that messes you up with this being down here, feel free to scribble it out or fold it in a way to where you'll never see it again, because sometimes that can trick us up. Okay, so that is how to grid a photo. And that's not the last step when gridding. Normally, if you're going to grid something, you're trying to transfer it over somewhere. In this case, this is the paper that you would have for your micrography project. So, again, you'll need your paper, a ruler, and then I'm going to use a pencil this time. So the dimensions we used for a Chadwick is an 8 by 10. So all we need to do is just draw the exact grid onto our paper. And with this, you're going to notice your paper is a little bit larger. So yeah, this is a 9. Oh, you can't even see that. This is a 9. I want to say it's 9 by 12. Yep, I'm right. 9 by 12 piece of paper. So you'll have a little bit of cropping that you'll do with this. So I'm trying to decide how I want to teach you guys, because there's many different ways to teach you. I'm going to go with the kind of the easy method of using the side of the paper. So I'm just going to line my paper up. Yeah, I'm going to line my paper up over here in that top left corner. I'm going to scoot it down so you can see that. And then I'm just going to make my marks here. Every inch. Now we're not upscaling this any, so our squares will stay an inch by an inch or 1 by 1. You should have 8 little boxes across. And this is kind of our extra over here. Now, I'm just going to kind of work in a little circle here, starting at the end of my paper in that bottom left corner after I've rotated it. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to mark every inch, but this time I'm going to go to 10, just because we're working on that long edge of our paper now. So going all the way to 10. Then I'm going to go ahead and move my ruler up here at the top. That way I can go ahead and make my bottom line. And I'm going to again mark every inch all the way to 10. Now, if you have your own method of gridding this, I know this isn't the only way. You're more than welcome to use it. This is just kind of like the easiest one, just because you're using the edge of the paper. Okay, sorry, I did that without even explaining. On my last or bottom mark, I made my line across, and I'm just gonna make the same marks that I did at the top. I started on the left side, so I wanna do the same thing down here. I wanna start on that left side. And mark every inch all the way to 8. And again, here's my little extra square. Now I can draw my lines across. And with this step, hopefully none of you guys did this before me. Whenever you're drawing in pencil or working on paper, you want to make sure your grid is pretty light, just so you don't have to, or I guess when you erase it, you don't have all of these dark lines going across. Because ultimately, when you draw a grid, you don't want anyone to know that you used a grid. So you want to keep it kind of a secret. So making sure your lines across are pretty light. Hopefully mine are pretty light, and so light that it's hard to see on my paper or on the camera. Watching me drawing lines is probably pretty boring, so I'm sorry. Hopefully this video isn't too terribly long. I got off a little bit. Oh, that bothers me, so I'm gonna fix it. Okay. I don't even know if that fixed it. Oh well, I'm just gonna leave it. And then last set of lines. Now, with these lines, the second time that you're watching this video, you really don't have to worry about these lines being incredibly light, just because you're using paint when we eventually paint Chadwick Boseman. So it's going to be pretty easy to cover. But I still do like to erase my grid as I'm drawing when I'm painting, but still, it really doesn't matter. You'll just have to apply thicker layers of paint. All right, last line. Okay, so now we have an 8 by 10 grid. Really it's 8 by 9 because we had that extra room. Yeah, I want to keep it like this. So here's my little extra here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's also great. Last step, as you guys know, is we're going to label it. So A to H up top, just like that, and then numbers down the side. Now since I have this extra row, I'm going to just put them here. And then eventually After you draw everything out, you will be able to cut where the numbers are and everything up top. All right, I know this video is probably long and I apologize, but that is how you grid your photo and then grid the surface you are working on. All right, I hope this was helpful.